Hey, Grace Harbor Church. This is Quinn, and we're April 25th, going through First Chronicles 3 through 5 today. And so we're getting more into the lineage, where it's the descendants of David, starting out with listing all of his sons, which we'll see through, verses 1 through 9, that each of the sons had a different mom. So, we dog on Solomon all the time about, you had all these women, but he kind of grew up in that. A lot of the marriages were, in fact, political and for more power and everything. But Solomon did the same thing. He just did it more than David. And then so that's the descendants of David. And then through chapter 4 is the descendants of Judah. And so a lot of these names become familiar as we've seen them elsewhere. And then after Judah, we get into Simeon, who was the second born of Israel. And then chapter 5, we move on to the descendants of Reuben, the firstborn. And he adds in there that, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph instead. So the way that the author of Chronicles, which, again, this is post-exile. So this, chronologically, for when it was written, was likely the last of the Old Testament. But it talks about, Reuben doing his thing and why his birthright was taken away. Very reminiscent of Esau's, only Esau sold his, and Reuben just flubbed it up. But then into Gad, which has kind of a little aside, talks about how strong they were, how their warriors were very good. And then the half tribe of Manasseh, who talks about them breaking faith with God. And so again, since this is post-exile, the author, whoever they might be, is viewing this in the light of, this is why we were exiled to, in this case, many of these were Assyria, although Judah was exiled in Babylon. So it's interesting to see through the lens of, this is post-exile, and who these people are. So there's many more generations after this, after what we had seen in Samuel, because this is post-exile. This is after, and we haven't gotten there yet. This is after David and Solomon, and then the divided kingdom with Jeroboam and Rehoboam. And, we see some of the names, Jehoshaphat and Asa in David's line, who we'll see later in the Kings. But overall, Chronicles is the most zoomed out view of God's promise and the hope of the Messiah for his people through the line of Judah, through the kingly line. And also, we'll see in chapter 6, through the line of the Levites, through the prophetic line, those after Moses. So the Messiah, it talks about elsewhere in the Old Testament, will be like David. And it also is talked about the Messiah will be like Elijah or Moses, which we haven't seen Elijah yet so far in this study. But and Jesus was both. Jesus was both a prophet and a king. He's the fulfillment of the prophecy, while also still more is prophesied that hasn't come true yet, because he hasn't come back yet. He prophesied that the temple would be destroyed and rebuilt in 3 days. And he wasn't talking about the physical temple, but himself. So Jesus was effectively a prophet, and he did say he was going to come back, which was a prophecy. So that's fulfilling the Levitical side. But as far as the reigning, ruling king that the Jews were all looking forward to their Messiah being, that's the Davidic line. That's the Judaic line. And that has yet to happen. It will, because God will come back. Jesus will come back to rule us. But we'll continue to see through these descendants and these histories of the lineage, how much God's promises have been kept for all peoples. And even though it doesn't seem that important to us, God thought it was important enough to add it, that he remembered them. Whether that be, all of David's other sons that messed up, or just other tribes that don't get a lot of spotlight, like Gad. God remembers all of them as his chosen people, and he remembers all of us as his children if we've come to accept Christ. So I would encourage you to look at these lineages and see what you know about these people, and then study about the rest. And we'll get to a lot of the rest of them in the Kings, Asa, Jehoshaphat being two of them. But we've got a lot more Bible to read, Grace Harbor Church, and I'm looking forward to reading more of it with y'all.